Every write-up of this sculpture repeats the same one-line summary: a man fighting evil. Follow the marble down to where his legs disappear, though, and the fight gets a lot stranger than that. The piece is called L'umanità contro il male, Humanity Against Evil, carved by the Italian sculptor Gaetano Cellini and completed in marble in 1908. It's a single block. One nude male figure, crouched low and talked into a violent straining pose, his weight driven down rather than up. No demons standing over him, no allegorical enemy holding a weapon, nothing in the composition but the man and whatever it is he's fighting. Start at the top, because that's where Cellini made his strangest decision. The head is turned down and buried into the crook of the raised arm. Smooth, rounded, almost featureless, with only the faintest suggestion of hair. No wide eyes, no clenched jaw, no scream. Every academic convention of the period would have called for a face wrecked with agony as the emotional payoff of the whole piece. Cellini removed it. Writers describing the work more than a century later still call it a strange choice, because a face would have told you exactly what this man feels. Without one, you're left filling in the blank yourself. So the hands do the work, the face refuses to. They're knotted and gnarled, stripped down to tendon and vein instead of muscle. Hands that look less like they're straining for the first time than hands that have been straining for a very long time and haven't stopped. One description of the piece put it plainly. The hands are the exact shape of the effort itself, with nothing else in the composition allowed to distract from them. Now go to the back, and the story the hands are telling gets contradicted. The dorsal muscles are carved with near anatomical precision. Hard, dense, described by more than one observer as looking like metal rather than flesh. The hands are giving out. The back hasn't. Cellini put both states into the same body at once. A man who is exhausted and undefeated in the same breath, because the fight isn't over yet. Here's the detail that changes what the sculpture is actually saying. His legs are noticeably heavier, more disproportionate than the rest of his anatomy. And if you follow them down, they don't stand free of the base. They emerge directly out of the same dark mass of stone that the man's own hands are gripping and trying to tear away. The thing his hands are fighting to rip loose is the same material his own body is rooted in. He cannot pull free of it without pulling himself apart. Read that against the title, and the allegory stops being simple. This was never a man versus an evil standing apart from him. Evil, in this sculpture, is the ground he grows out of. That reading lines up with the two lines Cellini carved into the base beside his signature. Così te sterpero coi denti lugne, dolor eterno c'è nel come pugne. Roughly, so I will tear you out with my teeth and my nails, eternal pain that claws at my heart. Read the grammar closely, and whatever's being torn out isn't standing in front of him. It's something he has to rip out of his own chest, or his own footing. Take your pick, because the sculpture is built to support both. Cellini first showed the piece as a plaster model at the National Exhibition in Milan in 1906, where it won the Premio Fumagalli, one of the Accademia di Brera's most competitive prizes. He carved the marble version 2 years later. It travelled to Buenos Aires in 1910 and now sits permanently in Rome's National Gallery of Modern Art. He named Michelangelo and Auguste Rodin as his two reference points, and it shows a body built with Michelangelo's tension and finished with Rodin's roughness at the edges. For most of the century since, the piece was read exactly the way its own inscription frames it, good against evil, virtue clawing itself free of sin. But a sculpture that hides its face and fuses its subject to the very darkness he's fighting was never going to stay that simple. Is the man winning, or is he permanently attached to what he's trying to escape? Cellini carved the one detail that could have settled it, the face, and then took it away. Tell me what you'd put there in the comments.